Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Dr. John Michael Salvato, and you're watching the Peak Performance Blueprint, a daily program where we, as a community, take just one step, maybe one mind shift, one strategy or tactic that helps us to advance the momentum of our business, of our personal lives, of our health, of the six dimensions of wellness. And so this week we've been talking about such very topics as cultivating relationships, recognizing the importance of the sales process, recognizing that sales capacity within each of us, that innate and inborn ability to be great salespeople. And today we're talking about something. Today and Friday, in fact, we're going to be talking about something that I think is really important for entrepreneurs to really think about, and that is beginning to explore our relationship with money. Transforming our relationship with money is mostly an inside job. It's something that we have to take time away from the crowd, away from the group discussion, and really begin to look at our history, our emotions, our assumptions, and maybe even some of our spiritual beliefs about money, and begin to challenge those beliefs that no longer serve us. And it's not an easy a process. I'll tell you, it's something that, and it's not a one and done process, because I've gone through this this process of exploring my relationship with money at least, I would say, at least 4 or 5 times in the last 10 years. Every time you reach another level of success, every time you reach another, or you go in another direction in your life and your work, your vocation, however you want to call it, unfolds, it's really good to explore our relationship with money at that time, because if we're doing something we're passionate about, if there's if we have a strong and clearly defined why, then we want to make sure that any obstacle that might be in our way is removed from our way. And it's all about taking 100% responsibility for our experiences, for our production, for the obstacles that come along in our lives. And so it's, for me personally, whenever I'm beginning something new, a new project, like we just started 8 weeks ago, I sit and take a couple days to explore my relationship with money now. So don't make assumptions based on, oh, well, my relationship with money was, is pretty good. I mean, that's how I earned a 6-figure income. And that's how I earned a 7-figure income. That's because my relationship with money at that point in time was good. I want to make sure my relationship with money right now is good. And that's part of that comes with understanding what money is. And we talked a few weeks ago about understanding money as currency and energy. And it's simply a piece of paper to which we've assigned, a worthless piece of paper if you're in the United States, to which we've assigned a specific value. And that value is used for transactions. But it's certainly not the only the only indicator, the only measurer of our success. And in fact, in her book, the Dynamic Laws of Prosperity, Dr. Catherine Ponder explains that the word rich means having an abundance of good. It has nothing to do with money. It's about living a fuller, more complete, more satisfying and meaningful life. And so when we begin to get our arms around this, it really changes things. I know for me, back in the early 80s, when I was 19 years old and I made my first 6-figure income, I had a really clearly defined why. The monastery that I was associated with was doing a lot of work with people with AIDS and cancer, and was struggling to pay the bills and struggling to grow. And we were seeing a pandemic on our hands of these young men mostly, and starting to see some young women who were in the hospital with AIDS, and their families abandoned them. And we wanted to be able to be there for them. And we knew we needed more members. We knew we needed more money to be able to provide the services that we were providing, including respite care, so that when they were released from the hospital, they had someplace to go. And so I worked as hard as I could. I knew I needed to bring in a minimum of $5,000 a month to keep the programs running in Orlando, Los Angeles, and South Florida. And my spiritual teacher, who was not nearly as mysterious and unapproachable as some of the philosophers that I talk about and write about in the blog today, said, "Hey, if this is your objective, if making this kind of money is what you need to do, then stop chasing it. Chase your vision, chase your passion, and the money will chase you. And that was like one of those light bulb moments, you know. Stop chasing the money, start chasing your passion, start chasing your vision. So my first challenge for you today is, what's your vision? You know, it might be that you've been approaching your business thinking that you have to go out there and get that money. You know, I need $5,000. I need $3,000 a month. I need, I have $22,000 or $24,000 now in out-of-pocket medical expenses. Excuse me. That's not my vision. I don't have a vision of having $22,000 in medical expenses. My vision is living a life that's free, is living a life that allows me to spend the time that I enjoy serving the people who need to be served, taking care of those who are less fortunate, spending time every single day on my quote unquote hippie journey of exploring my spirituality, exploring my relationship with the beloved. And so for me, that's the why. So that's what I chase. You know, I don't chase the company I'm with. I don't chase rank advancements. I don't chase a trip on a boat or a plane or a beach. I chase my vision. I chase my why. And then the money chases you. And I promise you, that sounds crazy. That sounds like a great little tagline, but it happens. So today I'm going to give you guys, grab a pen, because I've taken a couple notes that I use personally, and I'm going to share with you five questions that I ask myself in one way or another whenever I'm exploring my relationship with money. And I apologize because the gremlins appear to have stolen my notebook somehow. I think I might have left it over at the church last night, because I was with a group of people celebrating my 14th anniversary, and I bring this notebook with me everywhere I go, and I bet that it's sitting probably on the sink in the restroom or on the registration table or something, because I can't find it, and that's where these notes were written down. But I've asked these questions a million times, so I'm just going to go for it. They might be a little out of order. And we can adjust that. But the first question I ask is, what's my money history? You know, picture, if you will, that you have been given an assignment or offered a job to write an autobiography about your relationship with money. You know, start with the very first memory that you can pull up of your relationship with money. What maybe it was maybe it was getting $2 from your grandma every time she came to visit. Maybe it was allowance, and just think about your relationship with money, how that developed, just like you would writing the story of your relationship with your spouse or your relationship with your kids. And growing up, how was money discussed around the kitchen table? Did you grow up in a house like I did, where there were where finances were difficult, where figuring out how we were going to pay the bills was difficult? And so my parents, when I was 7, started to explore network marketing. My dad lost his job when I was about 8, so his why got a whole lot bigger. And so I learned that people who are successful, and my dad happens to be, while he's never been a huge financial success, is one of those people who's a hero in my life. He's been very successful in raising an incredible family, keeping his spiritual priorities in order, and doing an incredible job, I think, of raising the 5 kids. We lost 3 when they were children, early childhood, but raising the 5 children that I, 4 siblings that I grew up with, and myself. So what was that discussion of money? And then as an adult, are you more like your father, or are you more like your mother in terms of your relationship with money? Maybe you came from a family where your mom was addicted to the home shopping network and spent money like it was going out of style. And your dad was the one who had to struggle to find ways to make ends meet. Or maybe it was the other way around and your mother was the one who did the budget and had the little, I remember my aunt had this little box, a little strong box. And on the strong box, there was little labels. There were like 12 little canisters that fit in the strong box. And there was a little label on each one. And each week she would take her paycheck, cash it into dollars, and slide the dollars into the slots on that box. And when I was, I think, 10 or 12, she gave me that box. So that's part of my relationship with money, is learning that budgeting plays an important role in managing your lifestyle. My aunt told me you could be as happy as you want, and you could be just as happy with $10 as you'll be with $1,000. So learn how to be happy first, and the money will just be secondary to that. So the idea behind this is the more that we understand our money history, the sooner you can discover if there's any money baggage that you've been carrying around that's limiting your ability to achieve success. So that's the first one. The second one is very similar. It's to look at what your money assumptions are, conscious or unconscious. If you always assume or grew up in a culture where everyone always assumed that getting money is always a struggle, I promise that your assumption is going to prove to be correct. So if you assume, let's say, for example, you grew up in a culture where you assume that money is the root of all evil, that every time something goes wrong, it's because of money. I find it very disturbing, as much of a political activist as I am, that so many people today talk about the problem in our broken system and our broken society is because of the 1%, and people interpret that as meaning money is what's causing the problem. And I promise you, when Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren and other people talk about the 1%, they aren't talking about 1% of the income. They're talking about what the people who have the 1% of the income are doing with it. So it's about behavior. It's about mindset and people. Money is not the root of all evil. If that was the case, we could just have one big ass bonfire and get rid of all evil and all war and all hunger in the world. You just get rid of money. So I want you to really look at what those assumptions are that you have around money, and maybe really dig hard and think about what the assumptions were that your parents had about money, because chances are pretty good that we carried some of those things forth. And my experience has been that those are harder to let go of than the assumptions that I created about money growing up or as a young adult. It's those ones from my parents and my grandparents and my aunts and uncles that keep sneaking their way back in. They're the ones you have to work on to completely free yourself of. And then I'd say the third question would be what's your level of financial, your third question would be, what's your level of financial intelligence? What's your financial IQ? How well do you understand the process of accumulating wealth and the difference between making money and accumulating wealth? Take some time to just kind of make notes on, hey, money, my financial IQ is kind of low. I really don't know what I would do with $1 million if I made $1 million. See, because if that's an issue for you, then it might be one of those things that's holding off achieving your goals, because you're a little bit afraid that you won't know what to do with it. Or maybe there's somebody that you've seen in the past who, I remember a friend of mine in Daytona Beach back in the mid 90s, won the lottery. And it was, I don't know, $1 million. And I watched him blow that money. Bought a lavish condo, bought his mom a house. That was nice. But then he was just, he blew that money, and he didn't blow it on himself. He was just so generous with everybody that he just spending. And at the end of a couple years, he lost his home and was living the same way he lived before he won the lottery. And his struggles his health struggles were the same. His other problems were the same. And in fact, I think he had to move in with his mom because he paid cash for her house. And so if you have fears that you might do something like that, that you might be out of control, then you have to identify those fears, because then we can work on those fears and let those go. And then hand in hand with that again is what's my level of financial integrity? You know, it's about trusting yourself when it comes to financial promises and commitments. You know, when you've had money in the past, did you have a good sense of priorities and make sure that you got your bills taken care of? Or did money come in and you went and partied, or you went and bought that new computer, or you bought that new dress, or went on a trip? You know, financial integrity comes about when we have all of the aspects of our financial life in alignment with our core values. That's why we've talked about on so many of the previous sessions that we have to identify what our core values are. Because until you can identify those, you have nothing against which to judge your actions. You know, when you get involved in a company, you can't tell whether you're going to succeed with that company, because if that company is not in alignment with your core values, I promise it's not going to be a successful venture. But if you don't know what your core values are, it's a crapshoot. So make sure that your financial integrity, take a look at your financial integrity. Has your past behavior been in alignment with your core values? And if not, make notes of little notes of the times when you messed up. And this isn't about punishing yourself. This is about saying, hey, I recognize that these have been things that weren't in alignment with my core values. So these are things I want to let go of. And then the final question, the big question, is what's your plan for achieving financial success? And that one almost seems like the obvious, but do you have a plan? I mean, some people say, this is my goal. I want to make $5,000 a month, and they join this network marketing company or that entrepreneurial endeavor, or they start a salon, they start a restaurant, but they don't have a financial plan. And so money comes in and money goes out, money comes in and money goes out, and they constantly are struggling, and they're staying at the same level that they were at before they started their endeavor. And there's a good reason for that. It's because they haven't taken time to have that plan. Maybe they felt guilty or conflicted about some part of moving forward with that plan. I have a good friend of mine. She's a well-respected teacher. She's on the, what do you call it, the school board for her local school district. And so she has some great contacts, and those contacts, many of them, of course, are teachers who struggle all summer long trying to live on what they save during the course of the year. And she has an opportunity to talk to those teachers about what she's doing, but she feels that because she's in a position of authority, that she would be somehow abusing that position by letting these teachers know. And so we've been working on a personal basis of the difference between going in there and in the middle of a school board meeting, pulling out her skincare line and doing a skincare demonstration, or the middle of a school board meeting, pulling up a PowerPoint that shows the comp plan for her skincare company, and maybe just cultivating some relationships with some of these teachers that she's already got relationships with, and saying, hey, one of the projects I'm working on is helping people to explore their options for a better financial future. If you know anyone who might be interested, well, could you do me a favor and put them in touch with me? It's as simple as that. It's a planting seeds approach rather than a pushy sales approach. But guys, I'm here to tell you today, it's the last thing I have to share with you, and I want to hear some of your feedback. And then tomorrow, like I said, Reverend Robert Brzezinski is going to be talking about the spiritual impact of our relationship with money and what we can do to kind of turn that around. But as Scott said yesterday, we're born selling. From the moment you come out of the womb, you're pardon me, you're selling cuteness. You're selling your lovability. When you want to get fed and you're in that high chair and you start to cry, you're selling feed me. And, as a high schooler, you're selling that boyfriend or girlfriend on that first date. You're selling your spouse on saying yes. You're selling your prospective employer on why they should hire you. So we sell our whole lives and we don't feel bad about that. As Scott said yesterday, nobody feels bad about telling people about the great restaurant they just stayed at, or the terrific movie they just saw, or the great apartment complex they just moved into, or whatever. But we feel bad when we get involved in a business and we start selling. Why? And we get nervous about that, and we get uncomfortable about that, because we are getting paid specifically. And here's a news flash. From the time you came out of the womb, you were being compensated for selling every single time. Either you made the sale or you didn't, and if you made the sale, you got compensated for it. And sometimes you got compensated well. You know, that for those who are in a happy relationship, excuse me, I think it's the best example of compensation that you could ever look at. That when your spouse said yes, you were compensated with one of the greatest values. You can't even put a dollar value on that compensation plan that you got when you entered into a relationship. So you've been compensated every step of the way, and money is just one of those things that you're uncomfortable with, and it's all about your beliefs about money, and it's about beliefs about your self-worth, and beliefs about thinking that you're doing something to somebody rather than for somebody. So let's hear some of you guys' parts. Go ahead, Scott, jump in.
Yeah, so I really appreciated those thoughts on money. It's one of the most understood things, you know, in the world, really. And one of the things you mentioned about doing things that you're passionate about brought to mind a book that changed my life. You know, when I turned 40, I read a book called 48 Days to the Work You Love by Dan Miller. And basically, in a nutshell, what he says is you need to focus on doing what you're passionate about first, not looking for the job that pays the most money or whatever. And that's so true, you know, because if you're miserable, then it doesn't matter how much money you make. You're not going to have time to spend it. You're not going to have any desires to spend it. And if you're passionate, that passion shines through. Like if somebody, I did a lot of consulting in computer system validation for FDA regulated industry. It's like, you know, just, and when I talk to people about that, it's just like, oh yeah. But then they ask me about what I do online, and like, I mean, I shine like a light, you know. It's just like, and they're like, oh, you can tell, you know, if Scott talks about his online stuff, or he talks about basketball, or, you know, those kinds of things, it's a completely different persona. And so I would challenge everybody to stop and think, you know, or look at your situation, whether it be your job or your online business, and figure out if you're really passionate about it. Because if you're not passionate about it, there's too many, you know, ups and downs. You're gonna fall away. Find something you're passionate about, and the money will follow. Thanks.
You bet, absolutely. And that was another good book that I read. You know, do what you love, and the money will follow. So I'm gonna check out. You said Dan Miller?
Yeah, Dan Miller, 48 Days to the Work You Love. I heard about it for the first time from Dave Ramsey, actually. And it was kind of funny because I was a quality assurance technician on a graveyard shift job at Johnson & Johnson. And I was just miserable, man. I just did it basically for the benefits for my family. And I mean, I could have made more at McDonald's, I think. But I was listening to his radio program, and somebody called in and said, you know, man, I'm just miserable. You know, I'm never going to get out of debt. I'm never, you know, this, never. And Dave Ramsey said the most profound thing. He said, well, dude, why don't you just move? You know, why don't you go someplace else? Why don't you go find something and do something you're passionate about? And he's like, oh, yeah. And like, I mean, that's when my turnaround happened. You know, I'd had a lot of success and then failure, and it went back to, you know, working in corporate America and, you know, crawling, you know, begging my parents and my in-laws for money to, you know, sustain my family and all of that. Just embarrassing situation. But after he said that, that was when things started turning back around. You know, I was like, oh, you know, why don't I? You know, what's keeping me here? You know, I've got the talents, I got the skills. Why don't I go do something that I'm passionate about, and the money will follow? And that's exactly what has happened. So
awesome. Thank you, Scott. All right, somebody else jump in. I know you guys all have some insights on this, and we've all had our journeys on this.
I'll jump in.
Great.
So first of all, I want to say that I also find it just crazy making, I guess would be a good word. When in the flow of talking about what's going on in the world, people around me are saying money is the problem. It's just and I agree. It's not money is not the problem. It's the people who. It's how money is used, and the consciousness of the people who have it in vast supply, and what they're doing, the choices they're making. So I agree with you on that. Money is not the problem. In fact, money can be a fantastic tool for change and growth, and more of that is happening. But there are definitely people around me in my circle who have these beliefs, and I make a note that, okay, that's a belief, and I don't agree with it, just to make sure my own mind is listening to that. And then another thing you mentioned that was a good distinction for me is the difference between making money and accumulating wealth. I don't think in terms of accumulating wealth, but I will now. And and what does and making money, as I noticed right away, has a baggage for me that the words accumulating wealth does not. So that's interesting to notice. And definitely I have some dredging and mining to do in this arena. I mean, not only does my current circumstances reflect that necessity, but also just what came up for me as you were going through the inventory. So
Right
and recognizing that there's definitely in my family history some issues that are at play for me and creating roadblocks for me right now. Even though I've worked on this before, obviously it's time to do it again, because I want to take my financial success to a much higher level than I have achieved in the past. And it's not that I've not had some in the past, but I want to break through into a more substantial manifestation.
Right on. But it sounds like you're actually on the brink of that breakthrough. And one of the ways that you may be able to do that is keep that focus on accumulating wealth, and not on the money, because the money has the baggage. So as you're releasing that baggage, as you're identifying what the baggage is, because you can't get rid of baggage that you haven't identified yet, then make sure that you're staying focused on accumulating wealth. That happened at one point in our lives when I still had baggage, and I knew what it was, and I was working hard on releasing that baggage, but I kept my focus on accumulating wealth and chasing my vision, not chasing the money. And that's how, where my teacher said, the money chases you, and the money will catch up with you when your focus is on chasing your vision, because the vision is a vision of wealth. The vision is a vision of abundance. So the vision isn't a vision of a lot of money. I mean, some people, maybe that's their vision, is to be laying in a bed filled with money. That's never been something that appealed to me, because the money has no value till you do something with it. Otherwise I could just get Monopoly money, lay in the bed, and get that same sensation. So hang on to that, chasing the vision. And I think you're there on the brink of a breakthrough.
Thank goodness. And and something else that you said was, just came and went. I'll get back to it as soon as I remember what I wanted to say. Yeah. So that's all for the moment, I guess.
Good.
I want to jump in on that last image of a pile of lying in a bed with a pile of money, because that sounds painful. That sounds like a lot of paper cuts.
Yeah, right.
And the reality that I see is, and this is an old teaching that I got long, long ago, your definitions are your law or your Lord, and how you define the words you use. Those that have been listening to me know that I beat this drum consistently. The power is in the word that you use. And if you use things like I'm broke or I can't afford, that is the energetic vibration we're sending out into the universe. And the universe has one job. It says, yes, I'm broke. Yes, you are. I can't afford that. Yes, you are. I'm choosing to invest my money differently at the moment. Yes, I am. I'm choosing to put my money into different projects than maybe going to a movie or going out to the bars or whatever it might be. And therein lies a peace. You spoke earlier, Dr. John Michael, about the money as the root of all evil. What most people don't realize is that is an incomplete quote. That is an absolutely incomplete quote. That is not the essence of that quote. What came before that is the bigger meaning, because the complete quote is, the love of money is the root of all evil. It's not money. It's our attachment to it. And I'm not big on the word evil. I don't believe there's anything that's evil. It's how we use the power, how we use the energy. And if I am so attached to the physical, to having piles and piles and piles of money, if I am so attached to being Scrooge McDuck with his giant vault of gold coins, then that is a vibration that is actually one of lack. Those that hoard believe they have to hoard because there won't be enough when the time is, when it's right, when they need it. I like to operate more from a perspective, a consciousness that everything necessary for the complete and absolute fulfillment of my mission on this planet comes to me as it is necessary. And if that's money, then as it's necessary, it's there. Now, I also do believe in operating from a surplus. And so for me, it's necessary to have something that's put away, that have some investments that are moved, that are there for, so my kids will do college no matter what I do. And I come from that place that there's no question. I am sourced, fueled, and funded by a renewable resource that is within me. Now, I call that God. I'm open for you to call it whatever you want to call it. Call it George. That's cool if it works for you. And if your definition of George is a beneficial presence, is a powerful source of everything necessary, we're on the right track. So I want to know, I want you all to know, I'm really excited to for our show on Friday, for the Inner Alchemy program on Friday, and to take this a lot deeper. I got some things up my sleeve I can't wait to share with y'all, but I'm going to save them for Friday anyway and make you come back. So always remember, it's not that the form is what creates the problem. It's our attachment to the form that creates problems in our lives and creates challenges. So thank you for the few moments, and I look forward to seeing you all again on Friday for sure.
Right on. I can't wait. Jen, I know you're sitting there quietly. Share with us a little bit about your insights on this, because I know it's a journey that you've taken as well.
How do you follow up with that? I mean, seriously, come on now. The relationship with money for me, yeah, I grew up in the concept of, my mother always made the joke of, we're poor, South Philly poor white trash. Well, now I live out here with our abundance of trailer parks and wonderfully chemically altered human beings, and it really does. I can look, my dad has a very interesting relationship with money. So my mom had to be the one, every penny. She knew where. She was the chick in the grocery store every Sunday. When they saw us coming, they would beg to get a break because they knew she'd have her stack of coupons. And she knew, she had it in her head, down to, if she was off by $1, she'd be sitting there going through that receipt, making sure what happened. So my mom's always been like, this. And here's my dad going, well, I still got checks left. What do you mean I'm overdrawn? So yeah, I've always had that duplicity going on. My ex, was pretty much like my dad. It's like, I got money. I don't need electricity. I don't need food. We can go out and eat. And it's like, wait, what? So yeah, trying to get into that, money is not a bad thing. I fully enjoy money. Unfortunately, when I get it, I know that I'm a very generous human being. It's like, oh, I know the kids need shoes, and let's get the bunny a new art set because good Lord knows she doesn't have 29 of them. Get the husband another Captain America shirt because he needs another one of those. And then here I am sitting there going, oh wow, I got holes in my pants from 20 years ago, So I'm working on the whole relationship with money thing. It is a huge process because it is basically sitting there going, damn, I screwed up so bad in the past. But and looking at your credit score sometimes doesn't help either. But it's interesting to sit and go, okay, that was then, this is now. Let's take a breath, shake hands with everybody, and let's see what our relationship can be in the future. I know what my vision is for the future. I've already got I've had the house in my head for 3 years now. And it's just getting to that, getting there. I would love to be able to put the house where we have a house right now. But that would require a significant income flow, which I'm working on. So it's gonna take some time. So yeah, you found me.
Right on. Thanks, Jen. And I think that that we're coming into a place where all of these sessions begin to dovetail, and I'm loving that because that means that the growth is about to accelerate. And so I thank you for sharing what you shared, and would say that as I was listening, a couple of things that just kind of touched my heart was sometimes hand in hand with those money issues are issues of what we deserve. And so we need to look at why it is that we are so comfortable making sure the bunny has a new art set and the husband now you can never have too many Captain America t-shirts, but making sure he has another one. But not, I didn't hear a lot of Jen, what does Jen get? And so maybe explore some of that and in private time and on paper in your heart, in your spiritual journey. And then at the end, I heard a topic that we're going to get to sometime next week and it's going to be a fun session. And I was, how these synchronicities happen. I'm going to end up real quick. I promise I won't keep you guys that long. But last night, I was invited to go to another faith community with my landlord, and she said, I'd really love you to meet this priest that's speaking, and that wasn't necessarily what I had in mind for a great night out, but it was the celebration of my 14th ordination anniversary, so why not? And I met an incredible gentleman. An incredible gentleman whose topic for his sermon is identical in almost, it was almost verbatim identical to one of the topics that's on the agenda for next week in the curriculum. And it was talking about your big butt, and not yours specifically, Jen. We all have a big butt in this particular form of having a big butt. And it was unpacking your testimony, and so it was a very interesting thing that when we hear ourselves saying, I really want to do this, but that but just invalidates the really wanna and just lets us know we have more work to do on the being clear about our why. And so we're going to talk about that next week. I really want to have abundance in my life and I'm ready for it, but right now I've got some stuff going on. Then you're not ready for it. So let's look at what we can do to get ready for it. And then when we take care of the get ready, then so many times then the manifestation takes place. The demonstration occurs when we took away the conditions that we imposed on that happening. See, those conditions aren't even real. That whatever comes after your big butt isn't even real. It's your construct. So we get rid of our construct, and we get rid of our big butt, and we're in the weight loss industry here. So, what better topic to bring up next week than our big butts? So I can't wait until Friday. There will be a blog post, I'm sure, tomorrow for your consideration, maybe along these same lines. And make sure you check out the blog post today, because there's a little more philosophy and stuff in there. And then I will look. Everything after the butt is your self-imposed limitations. Yep, I wish I said that. Guys, I encourage you to go to the blog, because that's one of the things that I do, for the simple reason that I don't work from a script, so I don't have any idea what's going to be coming out of my mouth. And for better or worse, sometimes it's nice to go back there and revisit and say, I needed to hear that too, and I need to take some course correction today in that area. I'm glad that I took time to listen. So use these tools and use them to your best, so that you can stay in the moment. You can be more grateful for what you've got, to recognize that happiness is the object and design of your existence. And when we're in that moment, when we recognize that, then we can't help but be grateful for everything that we've got. And that gratitude opens the door for the abundance waiting for us, and the best is yet to come. We'll talk to you guys soon. Love and appreciate you.